I was there when humanity made first contact. Part 1. At first slowly and then all at once. That's how I would describe the events leading to a few of us on the surface of an alien world meeting a civilization from another star. At that point, humanity already knew there was life on other worlds. We even knew there was advanced life. However, this was different. A living, breathing intelligent individual from across the void, interacting with humanity. And before you ask, yes, this particular species does indeed breathe. Now let's start with the beginning. Humanity timidly started its new space age in the 2020s after almost 4 decades of absence. We again walked on the moon in early 2025 and initial exploratory drones reached the Jovian system in the late 20s and early 30s. By 2034, men walked on the surface of Mars. This was the start of what would be a sprawling off-Earth society by the late 21st century. As the third decade showed more prospects for peace and prosperity than the previous one, it did not come without its challenges. Yet unbeknownst to the majority of the public, a large black spherical structure was uncovered in late 2037. It was stumbled upon by a couple of volunteer explorers from the European Space Agency roughly 600 kilometers west of the Schiaparelli crater. Unmistakably artificial and undeniably alien in nature. A small group of governments decided to keep the discovery a secret until an explanation was found. More importantly, whether or not it posed a danger to the fragile Martian colonies. Many efforts were made to study the object, with frustratingly no result even after a couple of decades. Its composition was a mystery, and even the strongest tools we could muster in order to cut off a single small piece of it were destroyed. A titanium, chromium, and tungsten blade worth $36 billion broke like it was made out of twigs. The surface of the object was also extremely smooth and dense. Even at the smallest microscopic level, we could not detect any space between atoms. The cube was just floating elegantly above the surface. Scientists that kept studying the object were eventually organized into a separate secretive research agency under the United Nations. This detail is important for later on in this report. Secret advanced alien technology or not, life went on. On July 12, 2036, humanity found out it was not alone. A fossilized single-cell organism that was 708 million years old was discovered. There was life on Mars while our planet was in its snowball Earth Ice Age period with only mostly bacteria and algae. Most people were amazed at the discovery, but didn't think much of it a couple of months later. We all already kind of expected this at that stage. By the early 2030s, the probing satellites sent around the moons of Jupiter showed promising first results. When flying a drone through the plume of ice water ejected through Europa's poles, we saw early signs of organic compounds. This was encouraging enough to prepare to send a more complex mission. One that would send small submersibles through the 10-kilometer thick ice sheet of the moon. Preparing for such a mission took a lot of time. However, public support was very high, especially after discovering live monocellular life on Saturn's moon Titan in 2041. That and a blank check written after a certain secretive cube was discovered. In 2051, the gigantic space research station was approaching Europa. It then landed its drilling platform on the surface and for the next 14 months, waited for the rest of the equipment to arrive. Then, on April 29, 2053, 4 days after we drilled our way to the ocean and sent in the drones, we discovered multicellular life. An urchin-like creature on the bottom of the ocean. The internet went crazy for it and called it Gary. Over the next few days and weeks, we discovered all sorts of life. From small fish-like entities to gentle giants. People were in awe. Several months later, a drone came across something that made the world hold its breath. The same black cubic structure that was on Mars, was also found by an expeditionary drone inside an ice cave. As NASA was receiving these live images, one idealistic scientist filmed the screen and live reaction of her colleagues and released it online. By the time the UN and its agency intervened, the web was filled with pictures of the cube. Shortly after, they decided to come clean with the whole truth. The whistleblower was arrested, but it didn't change much. Due to public outcry, she was to be released after almost 10 years in a black site. Some say a hero, others a traitor. After the leak, people reacted in different ways. Major religions went through, ironically, a crisis of faith. God didn't create man in his own image and the stars for him alone after all. We were just one of many others. Evolutionary chance, not religious destiny. Not many people were comfortable with that idea. Protests sparked for many reasons. Increasing military readiness in case of an invasion, blowing up the cubes, forming new religions around them, you get the idea. But as much as we screamed for answers in the void, we heard nothing back. The universe was indifferent to our shot of existential dread. Whatever answers there might be, we had to get them ourselves. Decades passed. We made amazing advancements in biology, thanks to studying life on other celestial bodies. We also found other multi- and unicellular neighbors on Venus and on the moons of Enceladus, Ganymede and Callisto. As with the previous space race, all the massive budgets we put in this new era of space exploration created great technological advancements. Energy hyper-efficiency due to how much money we pumped in making better engines and saving up on colony resources. Medical advancements thanks to studying alien life. It's fascinating to see how evolution solves the same problems we might be struggling with when creating life on other worlds. Culture was enriched thanks to societies forming on other planets and moons. It felt like going into a new age. After the artificial intelligence crisis of the 2070s, AI helped us a lot with this progress. It is the AI that managed to figure out the only discovery we have made about the cubes. We were so focused on looking at what's there, we didn't think of considering what's absent. Given how dense the cubes were, there had to be an effect felt on the outside. This effect, it seems, was the color of the cubes. Or better yet, its lack of. The AI understood that gravity at the center of these cubes is so strong that it consumes everything inside of it. That also means light. Therefore, the cubes are black because they appear to have a small singularity inside of them. Now here is the truly mind-boggling part: the singularity is so dense that it generates a frequency of impossible magnitude. This led the AI to study what generates this said frequency at a smaller scale. The result, in plain English, was an extremely exotic quantum particle. When scanning local space for similar frequencies, there were three results: the two cubes from Mars and Europa and a nondescript point in the asteroid belt. This last one was much weaker than the cubes, however it was unmistakably there. A research ship was dispatched to the area, together with an AI-led scientific platform. What we found, in no uncertain terms, appeared to be a small wormhole. By 2096, governments announced the discovery and a decision was made to send exploratory expeditions to the other side. At this stage, most of the scientists that had worked on studying the cubes, the alien life and celestial bodies of our solar system were offered to join a certain agency of the UN. Now declassified, the agency was given autonomy and answered to three entities: the UN, a consortium of all public and private space agencies, and a publicly elected global body, ideally representing the people of Earth and their place in the cosmos. This new agency was called the Verne Observatory, and its first act was to send some researchers through the F9C wormhole. I was part of that team.